Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is me again, Inspector Dillygaff. As one of the last comments read from the previous video I posted about the one I made was too basic, I'm going to show you how to make a much more better looking one like this from a standard 2x6 like this. Now, the one on the left, that is an unjointed standard 2x6 that you get from any general hardware store. On the right, with the green paint underneath that I used for a previous project, is a 2x6 that has been jointed on all sides in order to get us good square edges to work with. After cutting the 2x6 to the proper length for the cell phone holder, what you do is you can just set the fence and cut a strip off of each side. But before doing that, it is best to pre-drill holes into the block of wood. You'll see the reason later on as we get further into this. Next up, you're going to want to mark the sides from where you cut each side off of. I'm just using regular letters. I'm going to have one side's going to be A, the other side's going to be B. This will be real important later on. Next, using the table saw, we are going to cut this piece into 3 separate pieces. I got the fence set up, and got to be careful doing this because an easy way to lose a finger. Best use a push stick when doing this. And I could hear my high school woodshop teacher yelling at me right now going, "What are you idiots doing?" After cutting the block of wood into 3 thinner pieces, be sure to label each side that corresponds with each face. This will come later as we put this thing together over the next couple of steps. Next, we're going to start putting it together. For this, you're going to need wood glue and you're going to need screws that fit in the holes that we pre-drilled into the block. After using the larger screws to make sure everything was aligned, I got it tightened down using smaller screws that fit better into the wood. Now I know that glue is going to get a good tight bond. For the piece of wood I cut using to support the cell phone, I'm using a couple of standard nuts and bolts to tighten down the piece as it glues and dries in place. Unfortunately, when putting together the back part of the stand, the thin piece of wood, broke on me as I was tightening it down. But we can correct that with more nuts and bolts and glue. Remember, in this wood shop, there's no mistakes, just happy accidents. Now, we're just going to let these sit out overnight, let that glue dry, and we'll see what we have to work with tomorrow morning. All right, that glue has dried mighty good. Everything seems to be built pretty solid. Now, we got a lot of sanding to do. Now, to get in some of them places that are tough, I'm going to have Mr. Woodblock help me out in places where I can't get my fat fingers in. Now, to address the holes with the alignment screws that we use for initial assembly, you can use regular matchsticks to fill them. Matchsticks and lots of glue. Make sure to coat that matchstick with glue as you get in. This will get messy, but don't worry, belt sander will take care of that problem. Now, on all the edges that are on the outside, the belt sander will help us make this look a whole lot better. Yep, using that belt sander in just a little bit of time, it almost looks like one piece of wood there instead of the 2 pieces that was at. Unfortunately, on this face, if you look to the right, you can see that washer I used to put this together is still stuck there. Now, let's just keep that washer that's stuck there our little secret. Now, here's a view from the bottom of the cell phone holder. Looks a whole lot better than it did before. Here's a side view from the cell phone holder. Now, let's install the hinge that we used to put this thing together. Now, the screws that I used for the hinge assembly were just a little bit too long, but thanks to the belt sander, we're able to make them sharp edges disappear. Here's a side view of it put together and in its folded position. Now, here's the top view in the folded position. Now, here's what it looks like standing upright and ready to put a cell phone in it. Now, let's place the cell phone into the holder. Looks like the camera's still. Now, let's see how well it goes from being in the position. Now you got something good and stable. Me and Mr. Woodblock say excellent. Now, at this point, you can either just seal it with some polyurethane, or you can put whatever kind of stain you want on it. The beauty with pine wood, you can make it look like anything. Get walnut stain, mahogany stain, whatever you could find at your local hardware store. Me personally, I like the burnt wood look. Now, using a propane torch, I just lightly charred every surface of this cell phone holder. Give it a good look, it highlights some of the grain. Also covers up some of the mistakes. Anyway, I think it looks a lot better. Now I need to put some polyurethane on there and everything will be good. And there's Woodblock, my good help. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you had as much fun watching this video as I did making it. More importantly, hopefully I've inspired you to try to see if you can make one better. Because to keep America great, we got to keep on innovating, keep on building, make it better, more efficient, tougher. So until next time, everybody, let's try to keep it made in the USA.